Freeland says America's NAFTA demands are unconventional, but I say hers are downright crazy. Freeland is Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Right now, she's accusing the United States of deliberately trying to undermine the North American Free Trade Agreement through a series of demands that she calls troubling. Now, if you don't remember who Freeland is, or if you're unfamiliar with her specific negotiation style, let me jog your memory. Who else remembers when she broke down in tears after storming out of the CETA negotiations after a tiny European region called Wallonia brought her to the point of a nervous breakdown? Just watch.
Nous avons travaillé très fort avec la Commission européenne et avec beaucoup de pays, des membres États de l'Union européenne. Le Canada a travaillé vraiment, et moi personnellement, j'ai travaillé très fort. Mais il semble évident pour moi, pour le Canada, que l'Union européenne n'est pas capable maintenant d'avoir un accord international, même avec un pays qui a des valeurs si européennes comme le Canada, et même avec un pays si gentil et avec beaucoup de patience comme le Canada.
Okay, so that was roughly a year ago. Is Freeland any better at her job yet? You know what? Make up your own mind, because as this most recent fourth round of NAFTA negotiations wrapped up in Virginia, Freeland held a press conference where she said the, quote, unconventional demands from the United States are making her work much more challenging. Unconventional demands, you say? The Americans are simply asking that we Canadians quit subsidizing failing industries here in Canada. You know, like giving billions of taxpayer dollars to Quebec aerospace giant Bombardier when it competes with American aerospace giant Boeing for the exact same market share. The Americans have decided to slap a 300% duty on some Bombardier planes in response to Canada's ongoing unfair subsidization of them. The Americans also want to be able to import their milk products into Canada, which could serve to undermine our centrally planned quota system. Now, that stuff all seems pretty reasonable, conventional, trade-related to me. But Canada's demands, frankly, they're right out to lunch, and the Americans are right to be frustrated with us. Freeland has tried to force the United States federal government to overturn right-to-work legislation enacted at the state and local level as part of NAFTA negotiations. It's meant as a thank you to the powerful Liberal-supporting unions in Canada's auto sector. That seems pretty unconventional to me, to ask a foreign government to ignore their own constitution and impose their will on state legislatures. But the unconventional demands from Canada haven't stopped there. Let's go through some of them together. Freeland's trade negotiators, at the behest of Trudeau, have tried to write chapters on feminism, Indigenous, and gender rights into NAFTA. How on earth are these ideas involved in economics? How do they have a place in an economic agreement? They just don't. The Liberals have even tried to write a chapter on environmental standards and climate change into NAFTA. Imagine how crazy you have to be to suggest an environmental chapter in NAFTA to Trump after he's gone and pulled out of the Paris Accord. Freeland also wants to make sure that there's a chapter in NAFTA on protecting publishing and broadcasting as part of Canada's cultural identity. And this is directly focused at protecting the Liberals' CBC from competition. Canada's demands are so bizarre that President Donald Trump has threatened to cancel NAFTA altogether. And who can really blame him? Trump wrote The Art of the Deal. He knows business. He's negotiating with people who want to turn a long-running trade agreement into a social justice, gender studies, safe space, hand-holding party. If Freeland wants to stop unconventional demands, she doesn't have to look much farther than herself. For TheRebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. I'm going to the UN Climate Change Conference in Bonn, Germany this year. If you can support our independent journalism that you won't see anywhere else, go to TheRebel.media.com.